of nylon, I would suppose. And they found the images having an air and sort of like a Pac-Man thing. It's very much post-modern. I would say it looks too modern for the 20s. Surely not. 1900s, even at least first half of the 1910s or even 1910s. So this is later on. It looks incredibly authentic. It is incredibly itchy, and it is not that strong actually. Hence why it broke. This material is all that strong. There's like a very itchy English blanket that they would put over the duvet in winter in England, and did that all the places in Europe, all over the world. So this, when I was talking in the Swedish Army playlist, in part 3 I can say, see, the people would wear like a tight, for example, kind of, in winter, rather than having many undershirts, undershirts for summer, undershirts for winter, undershirts for autumn, undershirts for spring. They may be wearing in very cold winter a sort of tight vest. That's the vest that has that closes until here. It's tight to the skin, in a soft wool. Then they would wear something like this that they may actually wear for summer on its or the spring. And then above, well, I should not have taken it off, surely. Should have kept it on. A little bit ridiculous now. They would wear this. This was described in a note in, I think, the same book. Like, I never could find it again. Such a pity I had not written the source. In the 1870s and 60s, when the working class were doing this, they would add layers below the actual shirt as they grew colder or whatever. But they called them, I think, an undervest for the thing they actually wore as this, which makes us actually confusing. Although the undervest, so basically the undershirt would be that kind of thing. The under waistcoat would be the first layer, I guess what they call it, and the undervest would be this. None of this makes really any sense. So I just like to call them the undershirt. It also sells how new they are French and then from Flanella. I guess it's a lot too itchy. The undershirt, and then this also basically like a sweater. This may be perceived as a modern day sweater. See? I used to wear that in Switzerland when I visited in May. In the night, once I was cold. Because my sister lives in this small house there. The sister that lives there. And then they would wear a shirt over that. Essentially, that's why on photographs, even during winter or cold periods in Britain, whatever, you may see working class people just in their shirts and trousers and braces, because actually they may be wearing all 3 layers below. Obviously it does not actually get cold in winter, it may get to 6-8 degrees. And if these men are working, it is more practical than especially wearing a coat that is padded and all. They may wear the coat on their way back home as an office worker, a clerk might put on his overcoat. Or again, people that were just clerks and all but were economical, and they may get very cold, rather than having very warm undershirts, they would still wear the summer undershirt to keep and then add layers. Just have a few of each of those and wear them accordingly. This is extremely itchy to the skin, so I guess most people will not wear that directly next to the skin. And see, it offers protection here. And it was describing the same that usually in the 1860s and 70s they were made short sleeve. These hat sleeves were usually kept short. These were no extra layer of warmth. See, it has a sort of band. It looks very authentic. It has a sort of tape band around there. It still has a yoke. It's easily pad stitching from the inside. It is not very well made because, see, as it buttons to gain space, they do not put the buttons way back. It is considerably longer in the back just to stay tucked in, not to actually protect the growing area. Which again, success both. It is perhaps more modern, but especially it is not really an undershirt. This is meant to be worn more rarely. What would protect the growing area would be the actual undershirt and then the shirt. the flannel vest thingy would be very short. This would sort of protect us more too warm, really, than anything else. Because really, especially in winter, one would have an undershirt plus a shirt as the last layer of undergarments, protecting the growing area, acting as true briefs, plus under trousers in winter. That the working class would call lining, as if we went really more to line and be warmer. You know, things like this. And so I have purchased actual all the under trousers that I did not get the space in the suitcase. But I have gotten things that were more required, which are also under trousers and which were harder to get. Especially that one purchased from, as I said, outside of the European Union. And I have gotten 5 of those. 2 white and 3 non-white. I will first analyze the non-morning ones. So I will be sure to be able to wear them from today onwards because these are way too warm. Way too warm. And I must analyze them before I start damaging them. So, see, this is the winter issue that is under the native bullet, solid undershirt that I now shall be wearing as a sweater for morning pyjama. In fact, I don't have morning pajamas that are all dead in obviously the eBay issue. I'm still not delivering to the Dubai. eBay is still not delivering to Dubai. I never purchased anything like that. I never owned anything like that, and I never have even touched or sold in a shop anything like that. Because usually these are all available in vintage shops. But I come off over eBay. So these are obviously, I wore them, for example, the 1995, 1911 shirt killers, these gripper boxes from the 1950s that are meant to be worn as summer and trousers in Dubai before it gets mega super hot when it's morning, but the cloth is almost dying, if I may see. And you will understand why I moved them to the non-morning ensemble that I'm now wearing for the summer, essentially starting now. Because now I have one more machine that will bring it. I have these! Look at them! Let me even try them on. Great Scott! These are military. What was that? Basically, the military are always backdated, so it's easier and to have a lot of stocks and army surplus that often stay in military warehouses until a certain point, and then once they were bought decades later, they were already created as vintage pieces that were kept by collectors and probably just pass them on to each other, or even to just got to the first collectors as the Palibe. And right now, as in these people selling at the Palibe are doing the military warehouse inventories and then selling them to get them in bundles and then sell them and whatever. So these are actually from the 40s, all over the 1950s, and that is the thing. Sometimes, what I think is, if they don't have a stamp, it could have been issued until much later on, especially the undergarments. And sometimes, for example, they said, the undertrousers I said before were very tight, or for example, these were issued in the 50s. These are probably older, probably not made after 1950, 1950 max. But they would have been issued until 1960 max. The more modern tattoo ones with the removable elastic I showed with the red tailing that are also Swedish hardly were issued until about 1970, but probably not made until after 1900 and I wouldn't even say no, probably these were not made after 1940, 45, 50 absolute max, I think. The other one after 1960 absolute max, perhaps issued until 1970 absolute max. Which comes to make me think these were not issued after 1940-45. Because of the war, they may have still been issued until 45 because they might have been making less because of all the things going on. Although Sweden were not really much involved in the war. But because the other ones were made later after the war, or during and after the war, they probably issued for a less long period of time, if that makes sense. In other words, not after 1970, although they still had them in their stocks. There's not that they no longer have them, it's simply that consider it as no longer profit to issue it.